to do the bowl trimming exercise. Okay, now we've thrown our two types of bowls. We have our thrown bowl and our stretch bowl over here. You can see that they're a little bit different in shape, the different kinds of ideas here with these bowls. Notice that what we've got them on our plaster bats. Sometimes if they don't come off, you can just rock them real lightly and they'll pop off. If they don't, they're still too wet. Remember, we trim everything at leather hard. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do this thrown bowl first. And I've got it pretty much leather hard. It's a little sticky in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it on the wheel head, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to tighten a griffin grip up on it until we get it just about right. Remember to hold the bottom and snug it up so that we're just about right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat a little bit because I don't want to wait for this to dry and get too dry out here. So what we've invented here, and I wish I could make a lot of money at this, but it can't. It's just a hair dryer and a stick and an adjustment tool. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn this on, and it doesn't take but a couple of seconds, but we're going to turn the wheel on a little slow and dry it, just like that. I'll talk a little louder out so that you can hear me over the hair dryer. If you wanted to throw your pot and put it on the wheel and throw it, and you wanted to trim it 10 minutes later, you could add the hair dryer to it. This speeds up the process. Otherwise, you wait for it to naturally dry down to what is considered leather hard. Remember, it's imperative to keep this thing running, and also check it all the time. You can see that it's starting to get dry on the edges here, and it's feeling the stickiness is gone now. So I can go ahead and turn that off and take it over here and put it right there. Pretty handy little tool. Now we're ready to trim. Trimming a bowl is no different than anything else. It's basically trimming the foot and the ringlet. Okay? That's all it is. We've already learned how to do that when we did our mugs. But it's still the same kind of idea. So first of all, we're going to hold in here, lock into your body. We're going to trim away. Just like that. And we're going to let the pot tell us where the foot is. Remember to always do that. Let that form show where to start the foot. Don't just arbitrarily decide where you're going to put it. So we're going to work here. We're going to look at that. We've got a little, see, we have a little indentation right there. We're going to trim this down until it works. And you see how that's going to work? It's starting to develop a nice form, and it's also telling you where that foot's going to be. So we can look at it on the side and say, okay, now we can look at it and say, yeah, that's kind of neat. That's good. That gives us the starting point for our foot. Remember, we did it with this part of our tool. Now we're going to come to here. We're going to define that foot. We're going to dig in there. Lots of times I'll tap to see if I've got lots of clay, and I do. Sometimes I'll even read that pot ahead of time. Before I even put it on the wheel, I'll feel the thick and thin spots. So I kind of know in my head where I may have to trim and where I may not have to trim. We got a little bump there from, we use scrap clay, and sometimes you just never know what you're going to find in your scrap clay. Other people's tools, things, all sponges. You never know. So we'll just clean that out. Now we've got the idea of where our foot's going to be. I'm going to come in here and make sure that's just about right. And now we're going to make our little ringlet. Flip the tool over, hold it nice and steady, go into the bottom, and cut through. You can go back and forth either way, it doesn't matter, just as long as you get this lower than your ringlet. Then we're going to burnish that. Once we do our bowls, then all we have to do is dry them. I want you to dry the bowls fairly slow. We'll take this off here, we'll look at it, see if it's where we want it. If it isn't, we can lift it up and take it back on and redo it. As we look at this pot, we've got nice curves that happen here. We've got an in and out kind of idea, very subtle curve in there on the foot. That foot, when it sits like this, actually has a little halo under effect of there, and you can see it. Gotta look real close, but that looks pretty good. And we'll just put this on the racks in there, and we'll dry it, and eventually we'll bisque fire it and take it through the firing processes. We'll do the same with the other one. I'll just do this one real quick. It's the same kind of idea. Once we get good at this, it doesn't take very long to trim with this griffin grip. should probably hit them up for money, huh? No. It's the neatest thing I've ever used. I just love them. Notice, see how we're coming in here, and I'm having that pot tell me where that foot's going to start. It's going to tell me. See how that came in like that? It tells you about where it's going to be. We come in here. Generally, the mistake that we have is if we don't let the pot tell us where the foot is, we put it in out here, and it looks real squatty. You never want a real squatty pot. We want them to look, we spend all this time making them really nice, aesthetically pleasing, and we don't want them to make them look like they're just big old heavy things sitting on a table. So we want to get in here and we want to make sure that we get that foot down in there, that we get these aesthetics that work good. And you can vary the speed as you trim. One of the problems that most beginners have is they want to have too much control. And that's the same thing even with throwing. If your wheel isn't going just a little bit out of control, you really can't throw well. You can't trim well because it's going too slow, and your hands have to move too slow to counteract that. So you want to try to throw a little bit faster, not too fast, but you want to throw fast enough so we can make that work for us. There we go, another good looking bowl. We look at it, we've got, this is the fancier rim, and we've got our foot, the little subtlety in that foot. Everything kind of works itself together. There we go. That's the end of our bowls.